Hola, hola, bienvenidos and welcome to Golazo Today. In this episode, we're diving deep into the UEFA Champions League new era and its format overhaul. We'll also cover Liga MX, Copa Libertadores, and MLS. We'll also stick around for updates on the U20 Women's World Cup and their rapid-fire picks. So, let's kick off the show. So let's begin with the UEFA Champions League, the pinnacle of club football, where the best of the best clash in pursuit of European glory. For decades, this tournament has been the proving ground for greatness, from Real Madrid's early dominance in the 1950s to iconic nights at Anfield and the San Siro. This is where legends are made. We can obviously talk about Real Madrid's legacy with 14 titles. How about Barcelona, winning with different coaches, Johan Cruyff, Frank Rijkaard, recently with Luis Enrique, and obviously the English resurgence with Liverpool and Manchester United doing their thing, trying to represent the UK. But this season marks a new chapter. This format change means teams now face 8 different opponents in the league phase instead of the usual 3. This shift brings more diversity and unpredictability to the competition. The UEFA Champions League is now entering a new era with a revamped and expanded format. 36 teams compete in a single league phase, each team playing 8 matches against different opponents. Teams are ranked based on their performance, and the top 8 automatically qualify for the knockout stage. Teams finishing 9th to 24th enter a playoff round, while the bottom 8 are eliminated from the competition. From there, the knockout stage begins, with 2-leg ties all the way to the final. It's a journey where every point, every match matters more than ever, leading up to the grand finale, where only the strongest will lift the trophy. So talking about the new format highlights, we have 8 unique matches, more variety, more excitement. We have a home-away balance, a true test of resilience, seeding pots, structured yet unpredictable matchups. And this new approach elevates the stakes. Every match, every point matters more than ever. It's a pure test of strategy, skill, and endurance, all leading up to the grand finale, where only the truly elite will lift the trophy. Now, let's dive into some of the results from the first match day. And to help us break it down, I am joined by our guest analyst, the one and only Nik Z. What's up, my brother?
What up? Bienvenido, Kalispera, Spanakopita. Reposed out the gyros. Love the jersey.
Thank you very much.
Why did you choose Greece today?
It's actually, I got it for my trip. Everywhere I go,
nice.
I try to get a jersey. So I would say, Faristo.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you, right?
I don't know. It sounds right.
And you would say, Paracalo.
Paracalo.
You're welcome, my friend. All right, diversity, more than anything in our show. We're going to talk UEFA and the Champions League.
We got to.
Let's get into some of the results, my friend.
Let's do it. Always thrilling, always glad to jump into those results. Let's kick things off with Juventus.
Yeah, Juventus. Weston McKennie from the U.S. national team scoring a goal. They get a 3-1 result over PSV Eindhoven. Unfortunately, Chucky Lozano unable to make that game. He's going to be out long term.
He is, but nonetheless, Juve, they look very sharp. They're controlling the midfield. That set the tone for them early on. I think PSV, unfortunately, they just couldn't keep up. Look, Juve, been out of the tournament for a few years now. Coming back into it, they're a completely new team. They look amazing.
Yeah, let's talk about a rematch of the 2005 final. One of the best, if not the best, finals ever. One of the most dramatic comebacks in the history of football. Liverpool against Milan, another classic. They came away with a 3-1 victory in San Siro.
They were absolutely stunning. They were relentless. Milan, they had some flashes of intelligence here and there, but they couldn't keep up. They had too many vulnerabilities. Liverpool really, they stepped it up. They capitalized, let's say.
And on to one of the top teams in the history of the UEFA Champions League, Bayern Munich, winning 9-2 against GNK Dynamo. Harry Kane had another great performance after scoring 3 goals in the Euros. Once again, he delivered.
Oh my God, what about Harry Kane? Honestly, there's nothing really else to say other than Harry Kane, Harry Kane, Harry Kane. Bayern were simply unstoppable thanks to Mr. Kane. Their offensive juggernaut there, setting the tone for what they aimed, I think, to achieve domestically in the season.
Yeah, for sure. And then Harry Kane, one of the best signings in the last 2 years, coming over from Tottenham Hotspur. He's just doing his thing in Germany. Let's talk about more games throughout this first season. On to our next game at Santiago Bernabeu. A few things to celebrate, Nick. Obviously, the first one, Kylian Mbappé scoring for the 5th time on a merengue jersey. Real Madrid gets a win over Stuttgart. And the other one, Endrick scoring again, but also getting married at 18 years old. Parabéns. Felicidades. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to him. Makes you wonder what you're doing with your life. I'm not married or scoring any goals. So, no, good for him. That was amazing. And speaking of Mbappe, scoring early in the second half, running up to the camera. I don't know if you saw that celebration, a nod to Sergio Ramos, the good old Sergio Ramos celebration. So that was pretty cool. He's clearly feeling at home.
And from Madrid, we go to Glasgow. Celtic putting on a show with a 5-1 thrashing over Slava Bratislava.
On paper, going into this match, they knew this was their best chance to put 3 points on the board, and they really capitalized on that. Bratislava, it's their debut in the tournament. They were shaky. The Scottish side just capitalized.
Yeah, then again, with this new format, we're going to see a lot of those games where you have a lot of tough teams, but then you have the Slava Bratislavas of the world. Now let's go to the beautiful Paris, home of the recent Olympics, where Paris Saint-Germain get a narrow victory over Girona, one of the most surprising teams in last year's La Liga edition. They have Christian Stuani, the 37-year-old Uruguayan striker. They also have Argentine goalkeeper Paulo Gazzaniga, who unfortunately had a blunder that allowed PSG to get that victory.
That must have been so tough for them, playing so great that whole game, especially for the keeper. That in the 90th minute to see an own goal happen, never going to be easy, especially not in a difficult match like this against Paris. They were really holding their own until that last minute.
I got excited talking about that dramatic final in 2005 between Milan and Liverpool. And let's talk about another rematch of the 2023 final between Manchester City and Inter Milan. That was a tactical masterclass between these two teams.
To say the least, City dominating possession. As usual, that's kind of their thing. They really hold on to it, but Inter incredibly disciplined too. Neither team really finding their groove. I do want to say I was rooting for Haaland to just score a goal because I like to keep track of little details like this. He would have become the fastest player ever to record 100 goals for a European side. Had he scored, he's at 99, so we're going to have to wait for another match until he gets that milestone. But nonetheless, great match.
Yeah, just incredible. Then again, we'll have plenty more to analyze when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. But with this new format of 8 games in this group stage instead of 3, we're going to get a healthy dose of UEFA Champions League matches. However, the only bad news, we're not getting any games until October 1st, when Barcelona will be facing Young Boys.
Well, it'll be a good match to watch. And, it's not just the league that's changing its format. Barcelona under Flick, under their management. This isn't Guardiola's Barcelona. This is a different Barcelona. They're quicker on the ball, less touches, more direct. 3 touches, they're already on the other side of the pitch.
And you know what's important as well, Nick? We're going to get some of these heavyweight clashes throughout the first round. Arsenal against Paris Saint-Germain and Juventus visiting RB Leipzig.
Going to be thrilling matches for sure. Can't wait to get into it. Francisco, the stakes are higher. The games, you could say, are tougher. And every team knows that they have to bring their A game. That's why I love this format.
Alrighty, more European leagues. What a clash coming up. Manchester City, Pep Guardiola against Mikel Arteta and Arsenal.
Man, let's go with City. Man City. Haaland, goal-scoring cyborg, that man.
Okay, and now talking Clásicos in the Giuseppe Meazza or San Siro, Inter de Milan against AC Milan.
Inter Milano. On this one, I'm putting my money on Inter. They're looking really nice in the Champions League. I love how they're playing.
You're going for the Nero Azzurri.
Yes.
Back to Spain, Villarreal against Barcelona.
Barça. Barça is playing great under new management, so I'm going to put my money on Barça.
English Premier League from the land of John Paul, George, and Ringo, Liverpool against Bournemouth.
Liverpool's got this in the bag. I think this is on paper going to be an easy one for them.
How about Italia, Juventus against Napoli?
Ooh, Juve is looking so strong right now. We're seeing that in the Champions League, so I'm going to have to give it to Juve.
In Spain, in España, Real Madrid against Los Periquitos del Español.
Mbappe is unstoppable. Let's go with Madrid. And now to some results that came out after our editorial cutoff. We're going to start with Atalanta tying with Arsenal. Griezmann rallied Atletico Madrid to a 2-1 victory against Germans Leipzig. Barcelona stumbling against Monaco, losing 2-1 in a shock loss. Brest enjoying a dream UCL debut with a 2-1 win over Sturm Graz. Serbian side, Red Star Belgrade, losing at home 1-2 to Benfica. And finally, German side, Leverkusen thrashing Feyenoord from Netherlands in their UCL debut, 4-0.
Alrighty, excited about what's coming up in the UEFA Champions League, but don't go anywhere. Up next, we're diving into the latest from Liga MX, Copa Libertadores, and MLS. Stick around as well for our U20 Women's World Cup updates and the rapid fire picks later on. This is Golazo Today.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Welcome back to Golazo Today. I'm your host, Francisco X. Rivera. Glad you can join us. Let's jump right into one of my favorite tournaments, Copa Libertadores, with our guest analyst, Nik Z. So always very excited to cover South America. We have the quarterfinals with 8 teams that are some of the favorites in South America. 7 of them have won the finals before. Unfortunately, no Boca Juniors, but we have their big opponents, their big rivals. I see you're smiling. I know why. River Plate.
River Plate versus Colo-Colo. What a match. 1-1. Defensive resilience, midfield battles, I think is what ultimately defined this match. We had River Plate and Colo-Colo in a 1-1 draw, obviously showcasing both teams' tactical brilliance, but also the intensity that we saw in each one of their players. But this isn't the only game making waves. As you said, a lot of exciting football coming out of the tournament.
Exactly. How about a Brazilian matchup between two big teams in the region, Botafogo and Sao Paulo? Botafogo, the most insistent team. And how about an all-Brazilian matchup, 2 giants in the region? Botafogo, the most insistent team, with 22 shots against Sao Paulo, a game that ended up scoreless at Olympic Stadium, at the Nilton Santos Stadio Olímpico. But then again, the future of this series will be defined in Sao Paulo. Going to our next game, the champions of the tournament, Fluminense, got a chance to face off against Atlético Mineiro.
They did indeed, with only 3 shots on target and possession more or less, I would say, split down the middle, pretty much, midway. We saw big names, people like John Arias, Thiago Silva, Hulk, Marcelo, Paulinho, all household names, great footballers, kind of not performing as we thought we would see, in a match with so many amazing players, legends.
So plenty more coming up. Then again, in this edition of Copa Libertadores, 7 of the 8 teams in this round have won the tournament. From one of my favorite competitions to my favorite competition.
There you go.
Liga MX. You see I'm happy, right?
I can see it. I can see it.
You know why?
I know why. One word. America.
Yes, I have 2 words. Club America. Finally getting back on track. So the League's competition was rough for them. That unfortunate exit against Colorado Rapids. They lost 2 games in a row. But it seems that they're back in track, and they took care of the Derby, El Gran Clásico against Chivas de Guadalajara, then against Atlas. It seems that they're getting back on track.
For sure. America, definitely the team to beat. Another interesting match. We saw Toluca versus Tijuana. Big scoreline there. Toluca taking home 4 goals.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? They're spending a lot of money. They brought in Paulinho. They brought in Elinho from Brazil. And then Tijuana, yes, they lost, but I'm going to give you one name to pay attention to. Not only the coach Juan Carlos Osorio, who was with the Mexico national team, left with an unfortunate taste in his mouth, unfortunately. But what he's doing in Tijuana is very interesting. And then again, the name that you were waiting for, Gilberto Mora Jr. His dad was a footballer for Jaguares Chiapas. He just made his debut on the Rosario at 15 years old. He already scored a goal. He was invited to train with Barcelona. Do you think this could be good for CONCACAF and bringing these young players and getting the chance to go to Europe?
Of course, it's always a good look when you're kind of the breeding ground for amazing world-class players who go on to do that. And look, that's nothing new for CONCACAF, right? So that's great nonetheless.
And then again, before we wrap up with Liga MX, you should be happy because not only because Chivas won against León, Chicharito, one of our favorite players, finally back.
Yeah, player who, unfortunately, I would say his MLS dream, I don't want to say turned into a nightmare. That would be a little bit dramatic, but it wasn't as, let's say we didn't see the fireworks we were hoping for there. So, him kind of returning to his childhood club, that's another chance for him to make his mark in a different league.
Thank you for the MLS segue. And I know why you're happy now, and I know why you're going to be smiling. El Tráfico was not what the black and gold fans expected, but for you Galaxy fans, you came out with a huge victory.
It was an absolutely amazing match, seeing them come back from being down 2-0 to absolutely dominating and winning the match 4-2. I'm not saying this just because I'm a Serbian, but my fellow Serbian man, Dejan Jovic, that Serbian goal was an absolute stunner. I watched it back like 15 times, and it kind of set the tone, I would say, for the rest of the match.
I think, unfortunately for the Galaxy, they could not maintain momentum. They lost to Portland. And, for all of you guys, then again, if you want to write down some names, Evander, the Brazilian, is one of the most, if not the most talented player in the Western Conference. He scored twice against the Galaxy. Portland takes it 4-2. And you know what? Evander could be an MVP candidate alongside Messi, alongside Chicho Arango, then many, many players that are so interesting in MLS. And talking about Inter Miami, by the way, Messi comes in as a sub. Miami gets a point in Atlanta.
Yeah, they're looking so good. Obviously, the table shows it, right? It's reflecting Messi, but also Suarez, who's, up there with the greatest players to ever live. A player who's won Golden Boots in the Netherlands with Ajax, Liverpool in England, with Spain in Spain with Barcelona, obviously, as well. So now it's his kind of turn to possibly make the mark here. I think he's up there in terms of the names that are being thrown into the ring for contenders. Yeah, best players in the league for sure.
The Western Conference is getting so tight. Teams like Houston Dynamo with Héctor Herrera, Real Salt Lake with Chicho Arango. We're about a month away from decision day. The 19th of October will decide pretty much everything. Standings, who'll be playing who. So stay tuned. We'll bring you more of that coverage coming up in the next month. So then again, we're wrapping up our MLS segment, but stay tuned because we're going to have plenty more for you. In our third segment, we're going to analyze the U20 Women's World Cup and obviously our rapid fire picks with my man here, Nik Z. So stay tuned. And of course, we're getting excited about Major League Soccer, what's coming up with Decision Day. But looking ahead, switching to Copa Libertadores, what about matches like Fluminense against Atlético Mineiro? One of the biggest teams, if not the biggest in Uruguay, Peñarol will be facing Flamengo. Switching to Liga MX, we'll have so many more games that we'll be covering in the next few weeks. And as we said with MLS, the playoff race heats up. It's going to get so exciting from now until decision day.
Absolutely, Francisco. These upcoming matches, they're not only going to determine, let's say, the immediate outcomes, but they're going to set the tone. They're going to set the stone for the closing stages of each tournament when everyone's watching and everything is so close.
Yeah, you know what's very interesting? Talking then again about these few matches, I got to call Seattle against San Jose a couple of days ago, a game where you think Seattle Sounders is going to take it against a San Jose team that comes in with only 17 points in the season, and San Jose gets a late equalizer. It's about playing spoilers sometimes for some of these teams, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we love the game, because anything can happen.
Yeah, you're auditioning for a new job maybe next year. Then again, you just want to see the face of the other opponent when you get that final goal. And I'm sure you did it when you played soccer before, right?
Yeah, I know the feeling very well.
All righty, then again, don't go away because we're going to have plenty of action in our next segment. We're going to turn our attention to the future of women's soccer, the U20 Women's World Cup. And my man here, Nik Z, will be giving us his rapid fire picks of the upcoming matches here on Golazo today. So stay tuned. We're coming right back.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Welcome back to Golazo. Today, I am Francisco X Rivera. Let's turn our attention to the future of women's soccer, the U20 Women's World Cup, which has been nothing but spectacular, from jaw-dropping performances to thrilling penalty shootouts. This tournament has showcased the next generation of stars. And now, we're just days away from the final. We're so excited. This is going to be a clash for the ages with two teams that have reached the last 3 finals. North Korea on one hand, Japan on the other. Can't wait to see this all-Asian final in the U20 Women's World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the future is bright, but the present is absolutely thrilling in this tournament. It's just things that we couldn't have ever seen going into it, so we always love to see that.
So talking about revenge, Japan lost the last final to Spain. They're able to take care of them in the quarterfinals, and in semifinals, they are able to get past the Netherlands. This team is for real, especially with their great defense.
There is so much energy behind this team, and they're going all in. They want it just as bad as North Korea wants it, and that's why I can't wait for this final.
So a 3-time finalist in Japan. On the other hand, we're going to see a North Korea team that has reached the finals 3 times. They've won it twice already, the last time in 2016. And when we talk about North Korea, we don't especially think about them excelling in sports. They have obviously a different political situation. But it's just great to get to see them. It is great to see a sport, and especially this U20 edition, where the North Korean team can excel.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is going to be a tactical battle. Both teams, I would say, are very tactical on the ball and in their defense, and that's going to be crucial here. For North Korea, what you're saying, I think, ties back to the fact that they have a lot to prove. They're not known as a sporting powerhouse in any sport, let's be honest, right? The Japanese, they've proved themselves on the men's side and on the women's side time and time again, as you've mentioned. North Korea has something to prove. They're hungry. They want it. You can see it in their energy and the way that they play. They're very physical, and they're very hungry for it.
And you know what happened in that last game? I think there was much more than football, than soccer, when you had that matchup between North Korea and the U.S. I think a lot of people were talking about it, obviously, and I think North Korean players really wanted to prove their point, so they're able to take care and get past the United States women's team. Unfortunately, for our country, then again, we're going to get the U.S. team playing against Netherlands for the 3rd spot.
Yeah, and, the U.S., they did great against Germany. Germany was so relentless in that match in their earlier stages, pushing. They couldn't hold on in the penalties. The steel nerves that the U.S. players have, it is something that I think all players on the women's side can look at in envy, because it's gotten them far.
So this Sunday, you cannot miss the U20 Women's World Cup. North Korea looking for the third championship against Japan. It's also looking for their second cup. Now, let's get ready. It's time for the rapid fire picks. We have something very exciting for you. Great matchups coming up this weekend across all the top leagues, and that's why we have Nik Z here. You were great last time, actually. I didn't keep score, but I think you did pretty well.
I'm really good at guessing stuff.
All right, guessing? I thought you were using your expert analysis. No, is that your trick? Is that your thing?
With the future, I can only guess.
All righty, perfect. And that seemed to work out pretty well for you last time, my friend. All right, Inter Miami against New York City FC.
I'm going with Miami. They're hot, they're on fire, they're unstoppable. Suarez, Suarez, Suarez.
This is not fair, but I have to ask it. LA Galaxy against Vancouver.
I think you already know the answer. LA Galaxy. Look, they might have lost their match after the El Tráfico, but I think that gave them a boost of morale that they need.
Moving on to Liga MX, one of the biggest matchups in all of Mexico. Cruz Azul against Chivas Guadalajara.
Sorry, but I'm going to have to give this one to Chivas Guadalajara.
And a game that was a former derby, a former Clásico, Necaxa facing Club América.
That's an easy one. I think América has so much momentum behind them, they're going to take it home.
Pumas against Club Tijuana.
Club Tijuana, I think they have something to prove coming off of that loss to Toluca 4-0. So I think they're hungry. They're going to want it. Plus, they're back at sea level. So that's going to help them, right?
Copa Libertadores, Botafogo against Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo is playing absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to have to give it to SP.
We're going to keep it in South America. In Argentina, one of the biggest clásicos in the whole world. Boca Juniors against River Plate.
You know, usually I would say Boca would take it home, but I'm going to say in this one, River Plate. They're already playing their mid-tournament, so they got a little fire, they got a little momentum behind them. So I'm going to go with River Plate.
And coming up midweek, September 25th, the U.S. Open Cup final, LAFC looking for a title after losing many finals in recent years. They're going against Sporting Kansas City.
All right, here it is. Big money on LAFC. I think they're going to take it home.
So these are our picks. Be sure to share your predictions with us on social media. We're looking forward to seeing who gets it right. With that said, my man, Nik Z, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having
me as our guest analyst, and we'll look forward to seeing you more here on Golazo Today.
Likewise.
Alrighty, so that's it for this episode of Golazo Today. A big thank you to Nik Z and our great production team. Make sure you tune in next week as we bring you more exciting football action from around the world. Don't forget to download the SportsGrid and Latin Nation apps to keep up with all the latest news and highlights. Thanks for watching. I am Francisco X Rivera. Until next time.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take. I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Daboll has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Daboll to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
This would have been a bet that I would have lost big on in terms of betting on Trevor Lawrence thus far. Because, Vinny, I thought he was an absolute rock-solid, can't-miss first overall pick.
They're underachieving a bit. I mean, I don't think this is the best adjustment team with Doug Peterson. He's not the best adjuster. If everything's kind of falling into place and everyone's executing well and he can just do what they want to do.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.